Oh,
There
yeah.
we go. There we go.
So, how's life in the United Fascist States, Mike?
We actually started on that and actually went into legitimate Latin, so you were a bit late on that one. But yes.
Well, he has. We have government assistance programs for like the poor and stuff, and
Oh, they're all gone. Yeah, I've seen all of that.
yeah, but
Project 2025. You literally had it published.
Let him finish.
Sorry.
Yeah. Had lowered the cost of prescription medicines for people on disability and retirement, and Trump got rid of that his first day.
Yeah.
So the people he's able to purchase medicines will now have a much more difficult time to purchase them, because that's super helpful for the citizens.
Well, if you need money, you should work harder.
I mean,
Or a billionaire and inherit it.
you should have had the wherewithal to be rich.
Exactly. Otherwise, you're not living the American dream. Sorry, I'm being very presumptive there with that. I'm going to stop now before I say something really bad.
I was just going to do the stereotype that's going around is think of all the money you'll save on eggs.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
nevertheless. Go on, sorry, Mike. You were going to say?
I say now we have to buy our own chickens.
Well, you know. Fellow up 2 doors from me actually has his own chickens. Apparently they're all prima donnas.
Yes, yes, they can. And you have to remember that they are raptors.
Mm-hmm. They will eat a lot of things, and you if you're not careful.
They will open doors so that they can get at you. That's if Jurassic Park taught me anything. You're not telling me that Jurassic Park lied to me.
Jurassic Park is the most famous dinosaur-related documentary on factual events ever, I'm pretty sure.
It gave us Jeff Goldblum with his shirt off once again, so, you know.
Yeah.
Take the
Jeff
rough with the
Goldblum
smooth.
has in fact taken his shirt off at times, therefore it must all be true.
Well, he was naked in The Fly.
He was. He was. That film messed me up for a while, I have to say. Well done. Anyway. Yes, congratulations on Jeff Goldblum and the makers of The Fly. It messed me up. I still have residuals every now and again, flashbacks.
Could have been worse. Could have been the fin.
Yeah, I have to confess, since we're on Sci-Fi, yeah, it took me a while before I could work up the courage to watch The Thing. And what actually got me around to it, someone very observantly said, well, if you think about it, it's just using everything it knows as a defense mechanism.
Right.
And it's been in so many places and copied so many things, it's just pulling from the organic database. So it's like when I came to that conclusion, it was like, actually, you know what, you're right, I'll give this another go.
Yeah, but I still remember having nightmares about the bit where they use the electric paddles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
When they got the actual amputee.
Yes, the double
scene,
amputee.
yeah. And then they bit his arms off. Yeah.
Yeah, with his chest. I like the way how the moment I remember to that scene, pretty much everyone immediately went, "Oh God, yes, that scene."
I didn't go.
Yeah.
God, yes.
Well, yeah, it was one very striking scene.
Oh yeah.
But if you want a bit of trivia in that regard, and I'm full of this stuff, one of my favourite bits of trivia from John Carpenter's The Thing is in that very same scene where the head is stretching away from the body. The creature effects guy couldn't quite get the gooey bits right, so he eventually came up with this solution so that the flesh stretched and then snapped. But the chemicals he was using turned out to be very flammable. And of course, right under the camera that's filming this overhead shot are flames. And
Wow.
yeah. They didn't get that many takes of that because, yeah, it turned out it was a major fire hazard and they nearly burnt the place down. So there we are. speaking of burning the place down, you guys currently have a bit of a problem on the Navis, and maybe we should get to that. But before we do, I'm going to switch us quickly to the intro video, and we will be back momentarily, so don't go away, kids. Hello folks, and welcome to the continuing adventures of the USS Navis. I am MJ the GM, and I will be your games master for the next 3 hours or so. And with me are almost all of the current Navis crew, except for one, our first officer, who will be joining us hopefully a bit later when he can. However, for the time being, we have the remainder. We have our operations officer with us this time as well, so Sean can pretty much join in where Davis cannot at this present moment in time.
It can defend in the boarding action. It can be the battle of the jacuzzi.
Well, speaking of, let's get to that. Yes, so last week, at the start of our episode, the Navis was summoned to the Tondu system to answer a distress call. There was a black hole in that system,
And it was a trap.
and there was a ship falling into it. But when the Navis went to actually try and find a way of saving that stricken ship from being sucked into a black hole, it was at that point that a bunch of Nausicans turned up with intentions of stopping the rescue effort. And then when they got close enough, they started scanning the Navis and have apparently decided they're going to try and start making off with stuff, apparently. So, at present moment in time, we have an ongoing situation in space, and we also have a repelling of borders actions needing to be taken. So, just to recap quickly then, I'm going to take folks to the space map, just to show us the situation we've got. So the squiggly lines are my separating this area into zones, so you know what is short range, medium range, and long range. The black hole is giving off the trait singularity, and the numbers represent the added difficulty that it will give to sensors and engines. The closer you get to it, the higher the difficulty will be for those things. The ship in need of rescue has got the trait main engines down, so they are surviving only by dint of their thrusters, and they are slowly, inexorably falling towards the black hole. The Navis, in the meantime, was suffering, from the fact that some kind of phased tachyon beam was used by the primary Nausicaan ship, which interacted with the Navis's cloaking device, which made your shields temporarily go offline. And as a result, it allowed the Nausicans to send boarding parties. You've since managed to unplug the cloaking device, which meant that your shields got back up to their previous capacity. You've added gravitic and sensor compensation for the interference from the singularity, so you've got that much going for yourselves. But, like I said, we not only have problems in space, but problems in general on different decks. The Nausicans are currently boarding parties to your primary computer core on Deck 6, as well as apparently the primary science labs on Deck 6. There were boarding parties sent to the Botany Research Laboratory on Deck 8, as well as the Sick Bay, or Medical Bay, on Deck 8. Deck 9, where you keep the Bifrost drive, is being boarded. They've also sent people to the phaser arrays on Deck 15, and main engineering on Deck 17. So, you've got a lot of people, Nausicans, all currently doing a boarding action. Now, the good news is, of course, you've got your shields back up, so the Nausicaan's ability to escape currently is somewhat limited. And I believe at least one of the Nausicaan ships, this one, has not only had its shields battered down pretty quickly and easily, has also suffered more than a few breaches, so that one may be the most damage of the 3 Nausicaan ships. There was talk by at least Ori at some point of trying to find some way of working on or repelling or dealing with in some fashion that directed tachyon beam, but then he decided to assist the captain with going to Deck 9 and dealing with the boarders of the trying to take off the Bifrost drive.
Oh.
So, that's where we're going to be starting things today, is the captain and Ori darting off to try and stop Nausicaans from nicking off with parts of, or at the very least scanning, the Bifrost drive. So, as one final bit of reminder, you did activate Lieutenant Commander Bravo, your Chief of Security, as one of your supporting characters, and as such activated his Chief of Security ability, which enables you to gain the benefit of security teams posted to everywhere that needs the security teams posting to. Those security teams don't actually count as characters per se, so much as they count as a trait or an advantage that you can use to assist you in your combats. So, let's get to Deck 9, and let's try and take care of those pesky Nausicaans. So, we're starting. You're going to be, and just at that point, you're going to be right back.
Like a second.
These messages.
Cool.
Need to get some heat going.
Okay, fair enough. I know how you feel. It's very cold here too. So, the captain and Ori and a security team all get to the location of the Bifrost Dark Matter Drive on Deck 9. When you enter, you find 4 Nausicaans busy with their equivalent of tricorders out having a good old scan over the place. So, as such, they weren't making any attempt at laying a trap for anybody, so you guys can definitely take first action. So, like I said, the security officers are there to provide you with an advantage that you can use in some fashion. If you want them to assist with a... Oh yes, quick to action. If you want the security teams to... Thank you, Mike. If you want the security teams to assist with maybe making it slightly easier for you to shoot a weapon with, they can do that, or you can use them in any other creative manner that you can justify. So it all comes down to that. So security officers themselves don't need to be in the initiative because they are not themselves characters. They are a resource. So, as has been quite rightly pointed out, Andrews, the captain, does have quick to action, which means during the first round of any combat, you and your allies may ignore the normal cost of keeping the initiative, which means that both Andrews and Ori can go first, and the Nausicaans come after. So, by all means, who's going first? Is the captain going to start wailing on the intruders, or...?
I think so.
Nice. Now...
And I'm quite happy to give you a threat by taking a Type 3. Because they ain't touching my Bifrost, right?
I will say in this instance the use of Type 3 phaser rifles is justified because you have multiple boarders on the ship. So I will not say that it requires an opportunity cost, and it definitely doesn't escalate anything. What will escalate and therefore give me threat is if you switch to lethal rather than stun.
Webby actually wanted to give me more threat because he realised you only have 3 left and felt sorry for you.
No, it's all good.
Nah, keep it at maximum stun.
Ooh.
Like just half a click away from lethal.
So
Maybe a quarter of a click. It's like literally on the border.
all it needs is one accidental movement of the dial, and it's suddenly on lethal. Gotcha.
Yeah, and then it's not my fault if it goes to lethal. You know, it's like, oh well, there's a fault in the dial.
It's a defective design.
Yeah, defective design. You can brush against it, turn it to lethal. You know.
What I will say is probably obvious, but just for the sake of... Hang on a second, I've just realised Mike hasn't loaded into this scene yet. What might not need stating, but I'm going to state it anyway, is whether or not Andrews wants to use the security team as an advantage to herself now, or if she would rather save it for Ori to have an easier time of things with.
I'd probably say Ori needs it more than Andrews in there.
I suspect as much, but I thought I would check just in case you had an idea that you wanted to engage with. So,
I just gotta remember what abilities the Type 3 has.
Well, it's a pretty big one. So,
Zap, zap, and more zap.
It's enough spread.
It does not. But let's have a look.
Fine.
Personal combat. So accurate means that if you perform the aim minor action, you may re-roll up to 2 d20 in your pool rather than just 1.
Yeah, why not?
Charge means that if you perform the prepare minor action with this weapon before you attack with it, you can add one of the following qualities to the weapon. Area, to hit more than one target. Intense, in order to make it 1 momentum spend to increase the damage rather than 2. Or piercing, where you can ignore armor.
I think I will charge with the weapon, and then do area.
Cool. If you choose area, the attack's severity is reduced by 1, so it goes from 5 to 4 damage, but all the same, should be good. So, if we are doing area, we are still looking for a difficulty 2 control and security roll.
Using determination is you take 1 die off, isn't it?
Yes, if you are using determination, then yes, you're only rolling 1 die, and you check the box for using determination. If you want to use that now, but of course you have the ability to potentially bring it back, so that is 3 successes, which means you got 1 over and above what you needed. Since that can't really be spent on anything like bringing up the damage, then I'm just going to bank it for the moment. But nevertheless, that was 3 successes. It is a damage 4 weapon, so now you've gained an extra
5
momentum. It's got
damage. It's damage 5. It's Type 3.
Yeah, but if you chose area, it goes down by 1.
Ah, yeah. Sorry.
So it's going to afflict a 4 damage, but for every other target you want to hit beyond your initial, you have to spend a momentum point. So how many do you want to spend, and therefore how many extra do you want to hit?
Everyone happy with it going for a full range 3 momentum?
Sounds good to me.
Do what we gotta do.
Bop, bop, bop.
Alright, attacking all of them. Excelente, so that is a 3-shot weapon, and... well, that means you defeat all the Nausicans. Knock them all down.
Sorry, alright.
No, this is good. This is actually a good opportunity. So, yes, Andrews bursts in, and with the security team with her, she sets the Type 3 phaser rifle to a wide-angle dispersal, and basically fills the room with the spread shot of this phaser rifle. The Nausicans have enough time to look up and give that stupid before they all get felled. And the attack was so precise that you didn't even damage the Bifrost drive. Now, before we call time on that particular combat, I will allow Ori a moment to have a look at what they were doing, if he wants to, since you've got much else to do.
Absolutely.
So if Ori goes up to one of the closer Nausicans, he will be able to examine the equipment they've got on them. And Ori can discover that not only are they've got, well, you've got weapons that you usually considered average on a Nausicaan. They've got a bludgeon for when they probably want to take people alive. They've got a knife when they want to take people dead. And they've got a disruptor pistol. But they've also got tricorders. Now, most Nausicaans have a reputation for being basically dumb brutes. And it seems, for the most part, that they are fulfilling that stereotype quite nicely. But what Ori finds is that these tricorders they've got are set to strong active scan, and it looks like they're not Nausicaan-made tricorders. It's difficult to tell an actual make. It looks like some kind of black market hack job. Someone has... Go on, sorry.
I'd like to collect all the tricorders and get them right now.
Yep, cool. Okay, no problem. So, yeah, they're all mass-produced variations on the same theme. It looks like somebody tried to cobble together the equivalent of a Starfleet or Federation tricorder, but used galactically available basic parts for them. So it's not anywhere near as refined or as capable as a Federation tricorder, but someone's done a good enough job to try and replicate that using bog standard basic technology that you can find anywhere in the galaxy. What's on these tricorders is quite interesting. There's obviously the most recent scans that they were taking of the Bifrost drive, and it looks like they were collecting reasonably detailed data about it. They've got a look at what the different devices were, what they were comprised of. They were getting as much of a 3D detailed scan of all the equipment in this room as they could possibly get. There's also some data previous to the Navis's Bifrost drive on these tricorders that Ori can find. It's of technology you haven't come across before, and if the timestamp is anything to go by, it would seem to be from about a day previous to this. And it scans of all sorts of things, like ear scrubbers and power conduits, but of a make and design that you haven't come across before. So,
well, I would, get that data transferred to our central data stores, and also, is it possible to kind of work my way backwards through this transmission to maybe get into their systems it's transmitting to?
Potentially, it'll take you a bit of time to do that, and you'd have to probably get back to the bridge or one of the science labs or wherever to do that with.
Ask the captain's permission to pursue that line of behavior.
Yeah, no issues.
Cool, then. In that case, that one ended very quickly, very nicely. This is what you get for taking on Starfleet.
Our captain's a bat.
Well, exactly. Started off in security, so no surprises there. Did she start off in security, or am I misremembering that?
Yeah, she was second officer in charge of security.
That's right. Okay, back to space. So that was you guys basically went. So that was Andrews and Ori. So we're going to move off to the Nausicans. What are the Nausicans going to do? Well, this fella over here failed to actually get. So, Bravo activated, Ori activated, Andrews activated. Okay, cool. So these Nausicans on the last turn failed to get their shields back up, but for the moment we're going to ignore that. We're going to just go with... The Nausicaan primary ship is going to try and fire its phased tachyon beam again. Now, to do that, they need to spend a minor action to funnel power and charge it, which means they can't use anything to assist with the aiming. So anybody who's on sensors currently, either tactical or standard sensors, so we're probably talking Claut and Lieutenant Mono, registering another strong power build-up from the Nausicans' main ship, and they are about to open fire. So, let's see what they manage to do. This is going to be a jobby aided by the ship. They're just not bothering with any kind of preparatory action. They're just going straight for it, trying to rip your shields away. So let's see what we get. They get a complication. Interesting. Okay, weapons and security as well from the ship. One success, and they needed more. Alright, so as further proof that this is probably something they stole, the Nausicans try powering up their deflector shield with this phased tachyon pulse. And it starts to build up and build up in power, and just when it's about to release, something in the Nausicaan ship blows up, and they lose reserve power and the ability to fire their main weapon. So, their own incompetence has bought you some time there, so now I'm going to throw things back over to you guys. Now, currently... your first officer has assumed the command throne, as it were. But we do have other places where there are Nausicans boarding. So, does anybody want to be dealing with that? I mean, we could go to Doc Bertram. Or,
I think, yeah, Bertram. Bertram's not had a go yet, so it's only fair that Gareth actually gets to do something.
He just raises his hands and the plants attack.
Well, let's have Dr. Bertram. Let's have the
Just ask
Nausicans.
Natif. Nurse Natif, go for it. She just runs out with hyper spray and just knocks them all out in one go. Threat eliminated.
Not even spraying, just beating people with it.
Just an empty hyper spray just beats them. Yes.
Well, this becomes. Go on, sorry.
He's unconscious, Commander. No, Lieutenant. He's dead.
That's a form of unconscious.
Alright then, so far as your supporting cast, you have activated Lenny, your helm officer. You activated Claut, your tactical officer, and you recently activated your security chief. So out of these 6 you usually have available, you have got 3 left. So the very pointed question that I suppose I need to ask Gareth, or indeed the entire crew, is do you want to activate either Nurse Nuteeth or Nurse Bravo to use as extras in this combat? Or would you rather count them as in a similar vein to the security team, who are here, so you can use the security team as well as a trait to aid yourself with. So, do you want to use your staff as another trait that you can create, or do you actually want to activate one of the supporting characters? Bearing in mind that if you want to improve your supporting characters, you get them involved in an episode, and you can then...
Yeah.
He learns how to dual wield hypersprays.
Yeah, I'm happy for you to do whatever you want, Gareth. If you want to activate one of them, go for it.
I'm very quickly looking at what their stats are. There's if we end up with a medical team in a conventional fight with the Nausicans, we're going to get slaughtered.
But, like I said, you do have the advantage of a security team as a trait that you can use too, so you've got that in your favour.
So is the situation about the Nausicans are trying to break into our room and the security team's trying to break into the Nausicans' room, or?
Well, yes, the Nausicans are trying to break in because I would imagine that as soon as the intruder alert went off, and someone was beaming in, that Dr. Bertram, or at the very least one of his staff, would have the common sense of locking the doors. Because let's face it, this has happened before.
Yeah. I seem to remember
fire suppression in their room.
I seem to remember my old nemesis before he tragically died of exploding and definitely not radiation poisoning.
So, yes, the security team are essentially waiting outside in the corridor, and they can override the whatever lock that's been placed, so they can burst in and assist with any action. Or they can wait until the Nausicans do burst through if you want to lie in wait for them and try knocking some out with a hyper spray when they come in. It's entirely up to you how you want to do this. That includes activating characters.
Yeah.
Funnel hyper spray through the fire suppression and just use it to knock them out rather than suffocate them.
Do we have direct access to that specific and quick environmental controls?
Well, you know, you're a commander. You have you have control. You know, you can order it. Definitely, you've got command authorization. If there's something you can think of.
Okie dokie. Can I how best to pull this off? In that room that they're in, can I start? So I'm trying to very quickly come up with a plan.
That's okay.
Yeah. Can I start? I don't want to actually sort of break Starfleet protocol and literally try and do something directly and immediately lethal. I'm thinking, can I start doing something like lowering the
oxygen content?
Yeah, what I was thinking is lower, sort of reduce, making the air thinner and colder, and then trying to bluff a discussion that we're sort of like basically tearing all the oxygen out to basically asphyxiate them, and hope to kind of like distract them and get them desperate, at which point the security team could get them while they're actually vulnerable and in disarray and start trying to take them down.
I like it. Now, I'm just, out of curiosity, I'm having a look at Memory Alpha's entry on Nausicaan physiology, just to see if they come from a planet with little oxygen or something like that, if there's something about them. So let's see. They got tusks, horns on their foreheads, eyes with black sclera. Nausicaan adrenal gland gives off a fragrance not unlike the scent of some females men after exercise. Nope. Nothing that says they have any kind of resistance to a low oxygen environment. So yeah, if you want to go for that, then I suggest you go for that. So
I'm also considering, because Bravo's telepathic, activating him and see if he can actually use his telepathy to start prodding some sort of like worries and prodding some sort of like chaos into their mindset as well.
interesting. Let's see. Telepathic. What does it say? Can read the thoughts and emotions of others. Doesn't say about projecting.
Right.
So, yeah, he's a basic betazoid insofar as they can read thoughts, they can communicate with each other telepathically. Not one of those who has the ability to actually project and manipulate thoughts. So, unless we want him to try and flex betazoid muscles that he hasn't flexed before, which is still a possibility if you want him to try.
Betazoid.
killer betazoids. I mean, you know. Kill you with a thought.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah.
first things first then is Bertram wants to do something with regards to lowering the oxygen content of that room.
Yeah.
So if you want to do it in a controlled manner and know exactly how much to do so, then I'm going to ask you for a reason and medicine with xenobiology as your focus to see if you can come up with something that you know will affect Nausicaan biology, but will allow a security team who's about to burst in the something that will knock them out as well. 3 successes, which was 2 more than I thought you needed, so there we are, that's more back in the momentum pool. So yes, low oxygen with potentially a high nitrogen content, so that you can actually make it almost like nitrous oxide. So fill the air with laughing gas to
I'm sure they'll see the funny side of that.
well, yeah, it's essentially trying to cancel out the aggression in them, which Nausicaans are well known for. So if you can knock down their aggression a couple of steps, you will hopefully mean that you can also make them sluggish to react. So that's Bertram activating his ability. Now, technically, the Nausicaans would go next, unless you want to spend momentum on keeping the initiative.
Think I want to protect my medical crew, so I'll spend a point of momentum to keep the initiative.
Which means that now Nurse Bravo can do something, so what would you like Bravo to do?
I don't think Bravo can do anything other than try and actually do some telepathic prodding, I'm afraid.
Right then.
I literally can't think of anything else for him to do.
Okay. Well, we wanted to use the security officers as a way of just trying to get the jump on the Nausicaans when they're incapacitated better. So let's say we're going to use the security officers as an advantageous trait for you here.
Okay.
We are activating Nurse Bravo. This would be a really good time to use a point of determination. He's got the value. Compassion is the most necessary virtue, so he's going to be trying to do something.
Trying to go.
Kill with kindness.
Go to sleep, so we don't have to kill you.
I was thinking very much along the lines of he's obviously a very he values compassion because he's a medic. So Bravo is going to try inflicting his compassion on these very usually aggressive folks, just to set their equilibrium all askew. So this isn't going to be easy, because this is something that Bravo has never done before. So go on.
If this works, I would really love at some point for the captain to go comment sickbay to see how bad the slaughter is. Just in time to hear a bunch of Nausicaans saying, "We are so sorry. We don't know what we were thinking. Here's our number. We'll make it all right again. Really sorry, old chap."
What I'm going to ask is for I'm going to do like I did with most betazoids. This is going to be insight and command. Yep. Yeah, I'll keep it as insight and command, because he's trying to impose his feelings on somebody. He does have a point of determination that can be used by accessing his value, and I would say trying to do something this unusual is probably going to take a determination at the very least.
Yeah.
Difficulty for this, I'm going to say, is going to go up all the way to 3 because of the security team trait, lowering the difficulty by 1, so it's still going to be 3. So you'll get 2 from the determination, so it's up to Bravo to roll at least one other to see if we can pull this off.
As well, if you want.
Yeah.
Which is my next point.
Spend a momentum for another die.
Oh, done.
Okay. Then, and... Oh, only 2, unfortunately.
You can succeed at cost.
Remind
I
me
think
what
this
that
is one
means.
of those. I think this is one of those. It might be best to succeed at cost.
So you will still
me
gain
what-
a success, but I will treat it as either gaining me an extra point of threat, or I will introduce a complication either now or later.
Okay, I'll succeed at cost then.
Okay. So, Nurse Bravo strains his telepathic abilities to the point where one of his eyes will become bloodshot. He is trying to use his telepathy now to do something he's never done before. Maybe has heard stories of the old Betazoids who could do this, and so reckons, well, this is as good an excuse as we're going to get. And so, yes, tries thrusting his compassion into the minds of the Nausicans, which, combined with the nitrous oxide in the air, makes them all very, very giddy. They don't know what to do with themselves, and so when the door to the outside opens, the security officers come in and snatch the Nausicans, disarming them and putting them in cuffs before they get a proper chance to react, thanks to what you have just done. But it has had a blowback effect. Nurse Bravo and all the Bravos are now without telepathy, as you essentially created the equivalent of a telepathic power surge. For the moment, the Bravos are all rendered, well, regular. Non-telepathic.
Norms.
Which is, of course, going to set all 5 brothers off at a disadvantage, because they're not used to that at all. So, yes, Nurse Bravo is not feeling well at all. Something in his brain basically went pop. And it may have caused a sympathetic pop to occur in each of the other telepathic Bravos. As for... Yes. Well, thankfully. Where this affects Nova and Ori not so much, because Ori's a bit busy at the moment with other things. Nova, however, being a Betazoid herself, and having known the Bravos for longer, I will say will actually register this sudden loss of telepathic contact from the Bravos, which Nova will probably find extremely troubling. But that is up to Sean. And we will deal with that when we get to that. But for now, Bertram has managed to help successfully see off the Nausicans here. I'm sure Ori knows them inside and out.
Well, scanning.
Lovely.
Scanning.
So, the Nausicans are all led away thanks to some science and chemistry and neurobiology. But, yes, now all the Bravos need to be taken to sickbay to be seen to. But, okay, groovy. Nice. Let's get back to the conflict in space. So once again, the Nausicans get their turn, which means that, let me see. These ships. Let's have these 2 Nausicaan ships working in concert, so that one assists the other. They're basically operating at the same time. So they are going to... What's their objective here? Take down your shields as fast as they possibly can. So let's do that. Weapons and security. And control and security. So let's try that first. These guys are not very good at their job. But they got one success there, and all they need is one more from the assist. And they've hit. This time they do. They get 2 successes. Okay. 2 successes on that was enough for them to fire at... Yeah, they're in short range. With their disruptors on the Navis. So let's... Disruptors. So. Disruptor banks look like that. They didn't bother doing much in the way of anything like that. They've got intense. Didn't generate any extra, so I can't use that. So it's basically going to be your resistance is a Titanic 9 on the Navis, which means their disruptor banks don't even scratch the paintwork. Goodness gracious. Okay then.
Which means they really should have been firing at the Carpathia.
Alright then. So, that was Dr. Bertram and his lot. The Nausicans have just acted. So, let's have whoever else wants to have a go. Davis still isn't here yet, so we will see about that with Vibers, but Vibers can at least be used to assist with anything if somebody else wants to have a go. Unless, of course, we want to jump to engineering to see what Edwards is up to, or if Nova fancies trying to see off some Nausicans herself, or if she wants to try and do things like raise the shields back up.
Yeah, I think there's another group of Nausicans in engineering.
Yes.
Edwards is still stuck with it.
So I will go with fielding that question to Sean.
Yeah, should help with that.
So Nova is going to probably put Unit Hello in charge of ops and is going to proceed down to engineering to help with the borders.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right, so moving to a different location on ship is a quick action, or minor action I should say. So let's take a Nova down to engineering. So let's put this onto a new turn. We're activating Nova because Nova is here now. So you've got the security officer team if you need to use them. We still have 3 Nausicans who need to be seen to, and we've got Edwards down here. So, what's Nova's plan, if I can use that word? And here's Davis.
Comes diving out of a cat run, just landing on top of them.
Yeah, I think you should try an infiltration ambush.
Ooh, okay. That's fine, because that does use your infiltration event as your focus. So yeah. Instead, let's have you come out of a section over there. Then, can I get you then to give me an infiltration check against? Well, they don't even know you're coming, so I'm going to say against a difficulty of 1.
Insight engineering again?
Let's go with control and security, because you're trying to be stealthy.
Alright.
Oh, a 5 and a 10, which is 2 successes, which is 1 over and above what we needed, so we've got 3 momentum back in the pool. Nova emerges, all quiet-like, from a panel behind the Nausicans. Right, so this lead Nausicaan has got a tricorder out and appears to be having a good old scan of this panel, whereas the others have got disruptor rifles out, and from the blast patterns around the place, it looks like they've just spray-fired wildly around the room. So, basically, do as ye will, within reason.
I suppose, could she try and either disarm or use this one's weapon on this one?
Ooh, I like coming up behind him and shooting the other guy with his mate's weapon. How will we do that? Well, that sounds like another control and security jobby to me. But it's going to be resisted this time. I'm going to go fitness and security from the Nausicaan, because it's basically going to come down to brute force. So you will be against 2 successes. So yeah, you need 2 successes or more to be able to pull this intriguing maneuver off.
Go for a star-cross.
Aha.
Spend the momentum that I just got for an extra dice.
Okie doke. The character scores 2 successes for any die that rolls equal to or less than twice the department rating, so yes, as per usual. Hit the button, and oh, look at that! 5 successes. What did I say you needed? 2, so you got 3 over and above what was needed. So, yeah, which means you're using this guy's weapon against the other guys. So to be fair, to be transparent, that's what he was using. Novak leaps out from nowhere, seemingly, clamps onto this Nausicaan, spins him around and pulls his trigger finger so that he starts firing, but angles him so that he hits the Nausicaan to his left. With 5 damage, and that's more threat than I'm able to actually spend to negate it. That Nausicaan pretty much gets taken down by his friends. I say friend, who knows if these guys actually like each other. By his fellow's weapon. That was pretty epic. As a result, it's now the Nausicaan's turn, so I'll have them operate together. This guy is just going to carry on scanning the control console. He is furiously scanning it. You can see even though they've got brow ridges and a almost Klingon-like ridged forehead, the Nausicaan is it's the equivalent of when someone is thinking really, really hard and sticking their tongue out as they think. Meanwhile, this guy that you are grappling with is going to try and break the grapple and attack Nova. So if Nova could roll daring and security for me, this is going to be a contested task. Just so I see what the Nausicaan needs to... Oh, my goodness. Nova's a ninja. Well, we knew that anyway, but... Okay. The Nausicaan is going to, in that case, draw upon his value all others are weak. And is therefore going to roll 1 dice and use determination, as well as focus. He gets 3 successes, which is still not enough to actually land any blows on Nova, or even free himself, for that matter. So there's still a grapple going on here, which brings us to Edwards. Edwards, well, now Nova has just appeared out of nowhere. You also have a security team now here who weren't here before. So if you want to be able to use the security team to give you an advantage on any ranged attack you want to make, you can do so. Or if you want to use them in any other creative capacity that you can think of.
He's going to move to here using this as cover, but also to flank this one.
Okay.
And I'm going to go for a single shot because I'm not going to ruin Nova's fun.
Fair enough.
If anything, maybe if let her use security, all they can is using to basically covering fire just to keep that guy down so he doesn't get away from Nova.
Okay. All right then.
So it's
all right. Okay.
Security and
control. This is going to be... He's not exactly behind cover, so it is going to be difficulty 2, and you got it on the money. So, yeah, give us the details on the sound gun. I forget how much. 3 damage. Stun only. Debilitating. Opportunity cost. So, yes, with 3 damage and a stun effect, and you did tune it to Nausicans. This Nausicaan grabs his ears as his eyes roll into the back of his head, and he just collapses backwards, dropping the tricorder. Nice! So all that's left is that guy. But let's go back to space! Okay, so the only Nausicans that are really left are those guys on that stricken ship. They're going to try and get the shields back. They fail once again. These guys are rubbish. It's pretty much what you expect of Nausicans. Right, so Nausicans went, Nausicans again. So whom of you? Davis, I notice you appeared like a thief in the night.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, where are we
who
up to?
hasn't? So Edwards and Nova just activated. So Claught and Vibers are the only 2 members of the crew who haven't activated yet. Now, to remind ourselves, on Deck 6 in the primary computer core, you have your security chief already dealing with them. There's nobody dealing with the Nausicans on the primary science wing. Nor in the botany research lab. The ones on the medical bay have been taken care of. The ones on the Bifrost drive have been taken care of. There are still Nausicans in your primary phaser array. And the ones in engineering are getting close to being dealt with.
I think the phaser array is next to go down. We need to get rid of them.
So, do you want to keep Claught on tactical and try and shoot, or do you want Claught to accompany Vibers, or do you want Claught to go somewhere else? Do you want Vibers to go one place? What do you want to do?
We should probably leave Claude and Lenny actually fighting the ship.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, if Vibers is happy to command the ship, Andrews and Ori can then head to primary phaser array.
Sure, we can do that next turn, no problem.
We can then start kind of like the groups that are taking control of the ship can be carrying on the ship while Vibers is on the bridge.
Yeah, I'm sure this is what that weird seat in the middle is for. What's the name supposed to be sitting here?
The command seat. Oh no, the commode.
Yeah, you don't do that in that scene.
Can't be important.
Okay, sure. So, oh, we did activate Lenny, didn't we? I didn't put him in the... There we go. Now he's activated. Okay, so yes, Lenny can do one of 2 things, of course, which is... Well, it can do numerous things, but primarily in combat it's either evasive maneuvers in order to make your ship harder to hit, or its attack pattern in order to make it easier for you to hit other ships. Seeing as you have already been quote-end quote attacked by the Nausicans this turn, I would say it's probably better to use Lenny to do an attack pattern with Claude, which remains with what Vibers would like to do. Does Vibers want to assist any of this as well?
Command seat. What can I do to assist? Does it just assist on the attack from just an assist with Lenny or Court, or is there?
Yeah, well, essentially, yeah. Either you can use your command station to create a trait to either make things more difficult for the enemy or make things easier for yourselves, or create any other effect that you can think of within reason. Or indeed, as you just stated, you could have Vibers assist Claught's assault so that both Lenny and Vibers are assisting Claught's attack against one of the Nausicaan ships.
That sounds like a good plan.
Okay, so all of those are basically
Claught?
going off all at once.
At one.
So That's not bad at all. So what we will do then is we will activate Lenny and Vipers, and they basically all go at the same time. So, seeing as he didn't really get a chance to roll, I'm going to say Mike can be Claught.
Yay!
And we're going to have...
He's so strong.
Well, he is made of rock. So, let's have Webby, if you want to be the Navis for me, please. So, from... And let me have... Sean, since you weren't here last week, let us have you as one of your fellow kitty cats. Be Lenny.
Navis.
So, from the Navis, we are looking for weapons. We're looking from weapons and security if we are firing phasers or photon torpedoes.
Security, not a problem.
From Lenny, we are looking for... Where is it? Helm. Helm. Attack pattern for Helm is control and con. Lenny obviously has requisite foci. From Vibers, well, you can contribute either...
Command?
Sorry, presence and command, definitely. Yep. You
Not
do
a
have
combination
shipboard...
Vipers gets to use very often.
Yeah, and you do have shipboard tactical systems as a focus, so you can use that focus. Ooh, so far, looks like it's all on Claught. So Claught rolls 2 dice, he rolls control and security with a focus. If you please, Mr. Mike.
Okay.
Now, which ship are you firing on? The main ship or one of the smaller ships?
The damaged smaller one.
Damaged
Let's
smaller
get
one.
them
That one
back
on.
down.
Alright. Well, that wasn't the best attack you've ever made, but thankfully the targeting computers and a little effort from Claught is all that's needed to hit.
He was distracted.
He was. There's people on his ship, and he doesn't like that. Nevertheless, Webby, if you could punch up the details for the phaser array, please. 9. Okay. So, nothing was done to prepare the attack in any way for anything like making it intense or piercing or anything like that. So we're just going to go with average. So because it was successful, it automatically deals 2... it gives you 2 momentum that you can spend on increasing the damage by 1 step if you wish. I mean, you can't really use it for much else, because it has to be spent, it can't be saved.
Sounds like a good plan.
Unless, because you do have the spread ability. Let me check the text of the spread ability. Spread says, attacks with this weapon reduce the cost of devastating attack momentum by 1. Devastating attack is where you attack a separate system. So you hit it once and you hit it again. So rather than needing 2, you could spend 1 momentum to hit it again 1 more time. So you could either spend those 2 momentum on increasing the damage by 1 step, or you could spend 1 of the 2 momentum, or you could do both. You could spend 1 of your own momentum from the momentum pool to hit it a second time. Unless you think once is enough, because this thing has no shields. So...
Any preference from the rest of the group?
It also has area, so you could always spend momentum to attack the other 2 vessels.
Good question.
So if we spend the momentum for area, then that gives the damage on all 3 of them.
Yes, it'll be 8 damage, but it'll be damage on all 3 of them.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll say, have
sounds
we
like the
modulated to cut through their resistance yet?
No, that wasn't done. because your science officer is the sensors, the usual sensors operator, is busy fending off Nausicaan, or helping to fend off Nausicans. Nevertheless, your primary attack was against this fellow, and by spending the 2 momentum from Versatile, you can attack the other 2 ships with a spread fire. Number 1 gets hit for 8. We take away 3 because of his resistance. That leaves us with 5, which means that Nausicaan ship is donezo. This one gets hit and is otherwise incapacitated. So, defeated. You deal enough damage to cripple the ship. It is no longer operational. The other 2 will more than likely take the damage on their shields. Down to 8 damage. Take 3 away from their resistance away from that. We're left with 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is exactly 50% of their shields. Which means that both ships are shaken. Which essentially means they lose an action. Nicely done. That was quite the hit. And so, that was Claught's Titanic hit. We move on to the next round. So, whom of you wishes to go first? We've got a load of folks that are activated, so it was mentioned that Andrews and Ori would be speeding towards the phaser arrays, so if you want to go there next, that would be somewhere to go, or if we want to continue the fight in engineering, or if we want to continue Bravo's fight in the main computer lab.
If you phaser.
What do folks think? Mike votes for more phasers. As in, go into the phaser control place. Alright then, that's where we're going.
Cowbell.
Let's grab Ori and Andrews and the security team and get you to the phaser array. Oh, I already put the security team there. Alright, let's delete those guys. Boop. Alrighty. So, primary phaser arrays. You find yourselves on the primary phaser arrays. 2 Nausicans are apparently standing guard while the other 2 trying to break into the primary phaser control rooms, probably so that they can deactivate your weapons. So, whom of you wants to go first? Once again, you have a security team you can use to your advantage in some fashion. So,
Well, I mean, last time.
what was the...
That was seeing if I got my determination back.
you do it a different way this time.
Oh, yeah.
You roll a d20, and if it's under your control rating, you get it back. And
Nope.
No.
My
Control is 11. Oh, so close. Alright then, so your determination point is gone. Never mind.
I want to get my back.
Unless you want to spend 3 momentum and try again.
Nah, I'm fine.
No, I'm pretty sure 3 momentum. You're not allowed. You don't use. You can't spend 3 momentum. I can spend 3 threat.
First officer's power.
Oh, first officer's power. Right,
You're
gotcha.
in comms with the first officer. You can spend 3 momentum and try and get your determination back. It's a more expensive version of commanding officer.
And it actually echoes what the DM can do with threat. So that's interesting. I've forgotten about that. There we are. Still learning. 2nd edition. Alright then, so once again, with... This is a brand new combat scene, so your follow my lead... Actually, it's not follow my lead, it's quick to action, isn't it?
Yeah.
Spook. Can definitely occur here, so both Ori and Andrews can go before the Nausicans, so off you go. Who wants to go first? Or do you want to both act together at the same time, one assisting the other, and using the security team in some fashion, or not?
I'd be happy to do that. If Mike's happy to do that.
Sure.
Okay. Do you want to use the security team trait as well, or do you want to hold them back for something else?
Yeah, we'll go for the quick and just basically shoot down the corridor. You know, like put an entire wide beam across the entire corridor. Like,
okay, cool. Right, so in that case, I'm taking it that you are spending the quick action to switch the setting to area effect?
yeah.
Like you did before. So Ori is going to be assisting Andrews with the control and security attack. So Ori will be rolling 1 dice, control and security. The difficulty, though, will be... Now, these guys have no cover, so they can't use that. So the difficulty is going to be a flat 2, but because you're using the security team, it's going to go down to 1. Ori has already given you the 1. Andrews gives you 2 extra. And you can use those 2 to up the damage back to what a phaser rifle would originally do.
Yeah.
But we once again have the issue of that is a successful single attack. If you want to hit additional targets, you need to spend momentum. 1 point per extra. There we go.
Fun.
Done. And we already know it is enough, so the Nausicans all get wiped out by a team effort.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If we're gonna kill them, couldn't we just cut like oxygen to that area? Use the environmental controls on the ship?
You could have done, yes, absolutely. Which is pretty much what Doc Bertram did in his own way.
It's more fun to just run in and then just go, ha ha, wow.
Oh,
These Nausicans are supposed to be tough.
Captain Andrews doesn't deprive enemies of oxygen. She merely beats them into submission.
Yeah, so absolutely. If you can think of another way to try and defeat an enemy, then absolutely. If it comes to reprogramming the environmental controls to fill the area with neurazine gas or something, then yeah, absolutely, you can try it. I'm not saying these are the only ways to do stuff, so yeah. You're totally within your rights to. So once again, Andrews and Ori and their security team come bursting into a new location and lay waste to everything. Meaning that your phaser arrays are still safe to use. Speaking of, back to space! So, the Nausicans in the primary ship are having trouble because their main... Yeah, exactly. Ori is feeling the power. I never knew violence could feel this good! Not that I'm suggesting that's how Ori talks, but yeah. Just for a moment there. Right, okay. So, the Nausicans on the primary ship. I am going to say... Now, I didn't do that, so I am going to use that. And I'm going to get this guy to... I'm going to do this. Three successes. Okay, so that's 1 over and above what I needed to create an advantage trait for the Nausicans, just for this turn. I am gonna call it Do Better. So that's the Nausicaan captain. Whom of you Are we going to go back to engineering, or are we going to go back to the primary computer core with Commander Bravo?
I thought they've got that under control.
No. If we go back to primary computer, if we remember, what happened was he defeated one, but then got blindsided by another and had to use stress to avoid damage. So Bravo hasn't sorted all of this yet. So we could do that now if you wish, seeing as we're here.
Bravo's just hearing on the comms, is the captain and alright, like, we've got to the Bifrost Drive. Bifrost Drive secured. We've ran off down to main phaser array. Phaser array's secured. He's just like, hello?
So he's there wrestling with a Nausicaan with this big beefy bicep round his neck. Working on it, Captain!
And he's just done his telepathy.
Yeah.
Yes, well, quite. That's a damn good point. He is now operating at a detriment. Yeah, he's just felt his brother and can't hear the rest of his brothers either. So yeah, that is a darn good point. Thank you for reminding me.
It's a good job the security team here who can come in and...
Yes, exactly. He's going to have to use it this
give him a
time.
hand.
So,
The
yeah.
security team's just standing outside watching him going, does he want us to interfere? Does he, you know? He's like, ha, bang, ha.
It's been a whole 4 seconds since he ran in there and kicked someone to death. We're not quite sure if the new guy... What if the screams are from him or the next come back?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you can have Security Chief Bravo either use the Security Officer trait to try and deal with the Nausicaan still down here. Hot tub therapy for telepathy. I've never heard of that before, but hey, you never know, it might work. A new study for Dr. Bertram to conduct.
Oh no, I wouldn't tread on all my shoes when it comes to the hot tub sciences.
Hot sciences.
Well, I kind of pictured it more in the case of how did this work? All right, explain this to me again. How did you get one of their neurons to something in their brain to fix itself through the hot tub? Delton magic, Captain.
No, don't get me involved in this. I'm going nowhere near Alright hot tub.
Right, so Chief Bravo, in a bit of a sticky pickle at the moment. Do we want him to use the security team to help him with this Nausicaan, or to deal with the other Nausicans? Especially because he is now operating at a detriment.
If no one else is going to yell for this, I think we pull the security team in to give him a hand with that combat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. In that case, because Gareth is more than likely not going to, since the sickbay situation has been dealt with, unless you were going to get Bertram to help deal with another situation in the ship.
Well, Bertram might go to the botany labs when we go there.
Okay, we'll deal with that then. Then let's go Navis for Security Chief Bravo then, in that case, since all you did was
Okay.
you helped with a shooty bang bang fire situation. You haven't actually got your teeth into it yet. So this is going to be a contested effort, so Bravo is going to be up against this guy's daring and security of... Oh, now I roll good. 2. So Bravo needs 2. Now, because he's operating at a detriment, it actually is 3. But using the security team, he can lower it back down to 2. So this is going to be his own daring and security. He still has a value if you really think you need to use it.
I am going to use it. And the reason is, both this combat seems to be going badly, and the fact the captain's protecting the crew, not him, and it's his job.
Okay. Grit and determination. Literally, in this case. I like. Okay, so let's have your daring and security check, please.
Yeah, for due determination, I still need the dice at 2 and roll, or do I knock it down to 1?
If you're doing determination, then yes, knock it down to 1, please. He has foci for this, so 3 successes. Nice. So you got 1 over and above what was needed, so that goes to the momentum pool, because that's not enough to do extra damage. But unarmed combat. He does an unarmed strike worthy of 2. So essentially, he eventually does a flip where he flips the Nausicaan over his shoulder with a couple of helpful shots from his friends. They all bravo bomb him, the Nausicaan, basically into the bulkhead. And just panel beat him while he's there, so... This Nausicaan is down. There's still the Nausicaans who have got tricorders out and are scanning things furiously. And it's actually those Nausicaans' turn, so... Alright. This Nausicaan goes up to that Nausicaan, hands over his tricorder, and makes a run at the security team. So he is going to use daring and security. He's going to use his determination if all others are weak. He's I keep using basically. He's going to jump on the security team, essentially, and make a hole for his friend to run through. So, let's make this difficulty 2 for him. He is using determination. Got 3, so I got over one over and above what I needed. So he bowls over a couple of the security team enough so that this guy can go into here for one action, and for another action he makes it into the main corridor. And I am going to spend 1 threat so that he can have 1 more minor action, so he can jump into another area and try and make it to another area of the ship. Okay, and I like that somebody wrote Riser as an answer to Where Have the Voices Gone. Thanks for that.
Sorry, couldn't resist.
Liar. You're not sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. Too busy giggling to be sorry.
Okay, back to the ships in orbit. Actually, not strictly true. The Nausicaans just went, so the Nausicaans have had their turn, so now it's you guys again. So, do we now want to go to the Botany Research Lab, or do we want to go back to main engineering? Who wants to go next? Otherwise, because that was Bravo, I am going to go with engineering next.
Sounds fine.
Alrighty, off we go to engineering. Now the question becomes... actually, no, the question doesn't become, because Alex already answered the question for me. I was going to say who wants to go, Edwards or Nova, but then Alex said he doesn't want to have Nova be deprived of the victory. So, I am assuming Nova is acting first.
Yeah, I guess so.
So, because this guy is aware of Nova, he is going to roll... Blame? No, not so much. He's going to... roll for how much of it... Oh, hello. Complication. He sprained something, evidently. So Nova only needs 1 success to beat this guy.
He's trying to process. Was like, where did tiny human come from?
Yeah, exactly. 2 successes, which means that, yes, Nova... Well, Sean, what ridiculous maneuver does Nova use to knock this guy out?
I think she's just going to chin him with his own rifle. She's using it on everyone else. So.
Nice. Defeated with his own weapon. Cool. Wrenched the rifle out of his grip, hit him with it, he's down. So that leaves us with Edwards. What does Edwards want to do?
I mean, he's already chinned them, so nothing left here. Basically, help the
You
rest
could
of the security
start-
team.
You could start with the scanners.
Yep, so you can.
I was about
have
to
a
say
look at
help
scanners.
secure the prisoners.
Sure.
Say, and basically disarming them and basically taking off anything.
That's what the security team's for.
Yep, there's that.
System of it. Well, so if you're going to be taking the scanners, is going to be part of like basically fully disarming them anyway. So it's just taking the stuff off.
Cool, cool. I mean, they're helpless, so there's no role needed for that.
So basically take off any scanners that basically search them for anything.
Search them. Okay. In that case, then, and this is something you can use the security officers for to assist you with, then. Insight and security. No real foci you can use on this, but you can reduce the difficulty down to essentially 0 on this by using the security team.
I'm alright giving it a go.
Which is worthwhile because you've refilled the momentum pool. Ba-ding! Nice. Okay, so yeah, they've got weapons, disruptor rifles you can get pretty much anywhere on the black market. But as I said with Orai's discovery, they have got tricorders that appear to be somebody's botched job of trying to emulate Federation tricorders. The information they are recording, have been trying to record at the very least, was of your ship's systems. Just the basic ship's systems, your power core, the layout of the power grid leading into this area, and a basic scan of the warp cores. But in a similar vein to what Orai found, you also find some historical data on this tricord, or these tricorders, I should say, which again echoes precisely what Orai found on the Nausicaan tricorders in Deck 9, which is, as well as recent data about your ship's engine systems that they were trying to gain, they also have technical scans of other technology which you do not recognize. You would make, with your cultural studies information, you would guess that this kind of technology is indicative of a civilization that has been starfaring relatively recently, but it doesn't match any that you are currently aware of, or anything in the current Federation database.
Does it match up with what appeared for any of the scans we took off the ship in the black hole, or the original trying to rescue?
The ship near the black hole didn't have too many detailed scans taken of it, and you were more concerned with life signs at that time. You haven't had an opportunity to give it a real thorough detailed scan, but it's a good thought. So that's the end of that in engineering. So nice, which brings us back to the Nausicans, with the captain screaming, "Do better." So, the... what do I do? They are going to prepare themselves a little better this time. The Helm Officer is going to volunteer to do an attack pattern when it comes time to attack, which may as well be now. So they're going to try this. Going to try their luck again. So, first things first, it is going to be Control and Con for their Helm Officer assisting, which I get a 2 with. Ooh, hello. Suddenly the screams of their captain make them work that much better. Then it becomes the main attack with the weapon system. And we get nothing from that, but we still get the 2 that we need. And as far as the ship assisting with the targeting, we get 1. So we got 3 in total, which is pretty much bang on the money what we needed. So Once again, whoever's on sensors, probably Claude since he's at tactical, reads a huge power build-up from the primary Nausicaan ship, and a phased tachyon beam once again lances out from their main deflector. It catches their stricken ship before passing on to yours. Now, it has the piercing quality, which means it ignores your resistance, but it seems to affect only your shields anyway because it is depleting and slowing. So, what does all that mean? Depleting means that it strips away the protective layer of shields. It cannot cause your ship to be shaken, but the momentum cost to increase damage is reduced to 1. And, because it is slowing, until the end of the current round, characters aboard the vessel cannot use the Keep the Initiative momentum spend. Ooh. Just as well that the captain went first, and not before. So, 10, ignoring your resistance, strips your shields of even more shields. But because it can only affect shields, it means that your ship does not suffer the shaken trait, and therefore you cannot have a breach cause. But yes, your shields rocket down as the phased tachyon beam makes contact with your shields. Okay, so that's the Nausicans. Who is next? We've had Nova, we've had Edwards. We can now do Bertram.
Okay.
Who is Bertram taking with him, if any, or is it just him and the security team?
Is anyone available / willing? Because at the moment everyone seems to be all over the place.
Or I just did help the captain on deck 15, the main phaser array control. So I'm afraid he's unavailable. Nova and Edwards have already done their thing in engineering.
What about Mono?
Do you want to activate Lieutenant Commander Mono?
Did we?
Let's go to the bridge and see Mono himself to see what he can do. Here he is. Chief Mono, not Chief, Assistant Head of Sciences Mono. Well, his control is 10, which isn't bad, but his security is only 1.
Yeah,
he does have Assistant, though, so he can. You can also activate, yes, one of his security team, like Ensign Natik.
Has Natik actually done anything?
Oh, no, he hasn't been activated yet.
Right. Natik, would you like to come and defend some precious plants?
Would I?
No.
He's been sat in the turbo lift on the command deck going, I'll get time to go somewhere at some point.
Whoops, wrong way.
You could activate Admiral Minoko.
Admiral Minoko is currently in his ready room preparing your next.
His ready room.
Okay,
Admiral
it might be
Minoko
called the pub, but still.
Admiral Minoko doesn't get involved in petty things like this. That's what he has his subordinate for.
Yeah, that's why he's got a captain on board his ship. Yeah. Come on, Captain, look after my ship.
Yeah. Okay,
Right then,
anyone
to the Botany Research Bay. So, just to remind you, you have activated 5 out of 6 of the allowed supporting characters per episode allowed. So, yes, Ensign Natik of Security has been activated. And because of the slow defect, unfortunately, it means that some of the ship systems are not responding as fast as they should, so turbo lifts take a little bit longer to get there, so you won't be able to keep the initiative. And therefore won't both be able to operate on the same turn, unless you have whoever goes first choose to delay, which will allow the Nausicans to go first. But yes, when you get to the Botany Research Bay, you find the Nausicans, again with their tricorders, scanning everything in sight. Now, luckily, Dr. Bertram had the good sense to lock the Prototaxites stellavatoria spore stuff, the spore mushrooms, away in a secure area. So the rest of this is all of Dr. Bertram's other plant-based experiments and samples and whatnot. So the Nausicans just looking at this stuff and picking some of the plants up and sniffing them, and just they look basically like they don't understand, but they are furiously scanning anyway. So as a result, you definitely don't exactly get the drop on them because they hear the door open, but nevertheless you are able to go first, whoever you wish to go first.
I think logically Natik should be the one to go first, as he's the best security officer we got.
Cool. So, do you want him to use the security team, or do you want to see how well he does, and then maybe have Bertram use the security team? Because Bertram can still try and knock people out with his anesthetic hyperspray, so... Or use other methods at his disposal.
Yeah.
He is, after all, in his domain now. So
Unleash the plants.
So it comes down to whatever you want to do.
Start with see if Natik can take one of them out and hold the security team in reserve in case things go south. Does that sound good to you guys?
Which one do you think?
The
nearest one or the furthest one?
Yeah. What are the plants that each one is nearest? Because we should probably target the ones that could potentially most dangerous.
Well, one would imagine that the ones in the containment field over here are going to be the ones you want to keep contained, like the Bertram moss.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Yeah, so in that case, if he goes for the one that's nearest the dangerous ones up the top.
Let's see, who can we have control Natik? Who hasn't rolled in a bit? Alex didn't do any rolling at all, really, last time, so let's have Alex be Natik. Actually, no, you did do Insight and Security to read the thing, so...
Navis has probably rolled the least out of us tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I've done myself, and I've done...
Yeah, and he's also done Chief Bravo, so...
It's over to you, this one.
Okay.
Webby, Mike, Alex, whoever wants to go. Who wants to?
Yep.
Sean.
Oh no, mine has he already rolled?
Nobody has rolled yet.
Okay. What is it? Do you want?
Going for this guy up there. Depends. Do you want Natik to use fisticuffs, or do you want him to use a phaser rifle? He could potentially do what Andrews did and phaser rifle the whole lot of them.
I'll give it a go.
Okay, so that'll be a minor action to configure the phaser rifle. It will be control and security. It will be difficulty 2. He does have phaser weapons as a focus. What else does he have? Protective instinct.
I think I'll nab a momentum.
Okay, yeah, you've got a nice big momentum pool now, so there's a good reason to... Oh
no.
Ooh.
Right. Okay, so you are in the... damn it, I didn't get there.
Sorry.
I didn't get there fast enough. Curses.
Just in part. I prefer to make it as just in the nick of time.
Yes. So, just in the nick of time, Bertram. Well, I will say this. Natik does have determination. Restraint is as necessary as strength, so he could technically burn his determination to re-roll that 20.
Alright. I don't think he's got anything else pop up. So it's just re-roll.
Re-roll 1 dice. That's better. So that's actually 2 successes, which means that was a hit. So, were you going for just one, or were you blanket area affecting, blanket area affecting.
Does he have type 3?
Yeah, he's got a type 3. He's a security officer. He should darn well have a type 3. There we are. So he can spend an extra 2 momentum to get the other 2 guys. Alright then. All 3 Nausicans down. 1, 2, 3. It was a near thing. The beam was very close to hitting the Bertram Moss containment. So Bertram felt his heart go through his bottom for a moment there.
Father, he goes, that might have acted. On the minus side, it would have played havoc with the electric systems. On the plus side, I haven't yet actually experimented on what happens when it interacts with living person's biology.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Oh, as a small aside, I have now watched all 5 seasons of Star Trek Lower Decks.
Yep.
In the final season, I think it was episode 8, I said... Was it episode 8? Or was it an earlier episode? I think it was an earlier episode. There was that, apparently, carnivorous moss. Apparently that carnivorous moss wasn't just carnivorous, it was also sentient, and it just wanted to be told nice stories.
It just wanted to be what people have the wrong idea about moss.
Exactly.
They think it's some dirty bad thing. Bertram will be going to the things and picking up their scanning devices to see if he can work out what exactly they were doing, if they were targeting the thing or if they would just happen to come across and were investigating. Because they seemed confused, as if they were uncertain why it was they were trying to scan this.
Cool. Accessing a tricorder is no big deal, so that's nothing that requires a roll, unless you really want to in order to gain some momentum back to the pool.
What would I be rolling?
And roll and science, basically.
12. Okay, I'll give it a go, just to see if I can get us a bit more momentum.
I mean, it's difficulty...
Yeah.
1.
Yeah. Oh.
Use the second Legion of Honor? Alright, so the thing doesn't explode in your hand. Alright, okay, cool.
Yeah.
1 success, okay, so unfortunately you didn't get any more.
My plants are at stake here.
What was the thing humans can do? No, that's determination. If you spend determination, okay. No such thing. Oh yeah, so you find exactly what Ori and Edwards before Bertram have found. Recent scans are of pretty much anything they could point their tricorder at. It seems just a blanket active scan. They were scanning as much the systems that are in here to maintain the plants, as well as it seems they were scanning the main computer over here where you keep record of all of your various experiments. So it looks like that one was trying to download the data.
Right. And there I was going to try to go back into their systems when there's a chance.
Good point. Good point. Thanks for reminding me. But that's about all that you find, as well as I have previously mentioned, there's also historical data that they appear to have taken from somebody else with technology you don't yet recognize.
Okay.
So that is your botany research lab saved.
Woo!
Time for Nausicans to combine fire, maybe? Yeah. These guys are going to go next and are going to use their sensor operator to try and get through your shields. Well, get through your not through your shields, your resistance. I don't have high hopes for them. And yet, okay, the Nausicans are finally getting their acts together.
Yeah, can they not do that?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I was actually happy with them being buffoons, but apparently the threat to do better is actually now making them do better. But as a result, someone else's turn. Who have we got left? Basically, the bridge crew. So you've had at least notice that this ship has scanned your ship for weaknesses. This ship has fired its weapon and has knocked your shields down by quite an amount, so up to the bridge crew what they think they want to do.
I think. Wait, unless a player character gives them orders, will they still act?
What were you going to say, Mike?
Nothing.
Nope. Okay, cool. So it depends what you want to do, Navis. If you want to do the same thing as you did last time, which is just assist.
I'm thinking the best thing Vibers can do at this point is grab the ops console and try and get us some shields back.
Cool. Yeah, you can do that. It means that Claude and Lenny will not go next because there's still more Nausicans to go next.
Yeah, shields are getting a bit low, so...
So Vipers can switch to one of the two available ops consoles as a minor action. That is easily done very, very quickly. And to actually rejuvenate shields, let's find operations. Regenerate shields requires reserve power, which you do thankfully still have. So you reroute power to the shield emitters attempting to restore their function. This requires control and engineering with difficulty 2, assisted by the ship. Sean, can you be the ship for me, since this is usually Nova's job? From the Navis, I will require structure and engineering. From Vibers, we will require control and engineering. Oh! Well done, Sean. Well done, the Navis. And well done, Vibers. So that was 5 successes where you needed 2. So, shields... if successful, this regains shields equal to your engineering department score, which is 5. Rip. You can spend momentum to gain an additional 2 more points of shields.
Yes, please.
So those 3 extra successes could gain you 6 more points of shields.
Sounds like a plan.
Alrighty. Your shield counter is so big, I need to expand the window to see it. There it is. 6 more shields. Okay, so you've gone well over 50% of your shields back online now. Nice! Which means... oh, they were shaken as well, weren't they? Not stirred. So these guys now need to try the same and get through your resistance. Nope. Not only do they nope, they are going to sustain damage to their phaser array. Actually, it was their sensors, so yeah, their ship can't assist. They mess up their sensors.
They accidentally sense internally and externally and goes, Captain, apparently the Navis is just full of Nausicans.
Oh, yes.
They're currently occupying the majority of the brig, I think you'll find by this point. They're all stacked like cordwood in the in a single thing.
Yeah. The only Nausicaan not in the brig is apparently under a huge amount of stress in some sort of hot tub torture device.
Yes.
Hot tub waterboarding.
Oh, man. No, anyway, quickly, before I get lost in that particular mental tangent, we can now go to the bridge tactical team if they want to open fire. So in a similar fashion, Lenny can either make it so that attacking the Navis means that they have to roll against Lenny's helm as an evasive action, or Lenny can assist Claude's tactical action by doing an attack pattern. Which would you rather? Would you rather make it easier to hit, or would you make it harder for them to hit? Which would you rather? You've now got a shed load of shields back. So... what do you think?
I don't know. Any preference for anyone else?
Sorry, what was that bit?
So basically, do you want Lenny to do evasive action or attack pattern?
I think aggressive again now. We're gaining the upper hand, so go on the attack.
Alright. Okay, so that means Lenny will assist. So it's going to be the same thing we did before, essentially. And we may as well have everybody who did do this before. So if we can have Mike as Claude, Sean as Lenny, and Webby as the Navis. Same things as before. Now, the advantage you've got here is that because Vibers isn't assisting, you do have the option of buying one more dice with momentum if you really want to. For anyone, either the ship or for... Actually, no, you can't do it for the ship. Either for Lenny or for... Well, Claude has gone and scored one success, so maybe Lenny can... If Lenny wants to buy a momentum... buy an extra dice with momentum, that's up to Sean. Or if he feels that he's got every faith in Lenny to do his job.
I'm confident in Lenny.
Okay. And rightly so, it seems. 2 successes, so that's 3. So that's definitely went over above. So Webby, if you could give us the Navis, please.
Weapons and security.
Yes, please. 1 dice. And keep the page up, because we're going to need... Okay, so targeting sensors did suffer a bit from the impact of the phased tachyon pulse. But nevertheless, that is a successful hit. Which one were you going for? Or do you want to do the same thing as you did before and do an area shot?
I think it's just area shot.
Okay. So... you can use that extra 1 that you just got, that extra 1 success, to do the area shot, to take both the smaller ships out, or to hit both the smaller ships. And you could spend the 2 free momentum that you get from the phaser array to either to up the damage by an extra 1.
Sounds fine to me.
Okay, so if you could give us the phaser array details once again, Webstar. Because I do forget. 9. See, I had a different number in my head. 9, using that to go back up to 9. So, which means their resistance of, which means you two... Ooh, blimey. Which means you almost knock both their shields completely down, but because you have taken more than 75% of their shields away and their ships are already shaken, they suffer a breach each. Not enough to incapacitate the ships, but definitely enough to do some damage. Alright. So a nice dual wide-angle beam shot inflicts damage on the shields of those 2 ships. Which means that the tactical team have gone. That leaves the tactical crews of the Nausicaan ships. Let's see how they do. So the first one has lost all targeting sensors and therefore gets no assistance from the ship at all. It's all down to control and security. It's that to hit the Navis, but disruptor banks of 6. This one didn't get piercing, so it doesn't even rattle the Navis. Your resistance is too high. You guys have already all gone, which means the other Nausicaan ship can now go as well, but this one does get assistance from the ship and gets piercing. And that's 2 successes with the ship assisting with... not communications. They're going to talk you to death. Pew pew! 3 successes. Okay. So, disruptor banks. They have intense, which means they can spend that 1 extra momentum they gained on upping the damage to 7. They ignore your resistance, which means that the shields take 7, which means you're reduced past your 50%, which means the ship is shaken. Everybody give me the Star Trek shake. What does that mean? Well...
Did somebody just lose the primary buffer panel off our ship?
So, if the damage reduces the ship's shields below half its maximum value, the ship is shaken with the commanding officer, or whoever's in charge, picking a damage result from the table below. The table below is brace for impact, where on the next turn of this ship, a character on board this ship may not take a major action. So somebody will lose a major action, or if you have reserve power, you lose it, and the difficulty to get it back is 1, or the ship suffers a complication. Or you can just roll to see if you want a random. Which would you rather? Somebody loses a major action, you lose reserve power, or suffer a complication?
I think someone just loses an action.
Cool. Anybody in mind?
That one guy on deck 7 that never does anything.
What, you
Does
mean
it have
Stellar
to be someone
Cartography
who's-
Bravo?
Yeah.
That's a
Does
bit
it have to
mean.
be someone on who's not gone this turn?
This is the end of the turn, as it turns out, so it'll be next turn.
Okay. Let's
mean,
let Vipers
I-
lose a turn because he's the most disposable at the moment.
Well,
Nice.
actually, I'd say Edwards is, because what's Edwards going to do at the current point in time?
Well, Edwards could
Get
redeploy
your
to one
ass
of the other
back
rooms.
on the bridge.
Or, get back to the bridge so you can get onto ops. Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean,
Okay, which brings us to... Alright. So, at the beginning of this new turn, something does happen. The command ship, all of a sudden, powers up its warp engines. There's a moment where Tactical reads a lot of comm traffic between the larger Nausicaan ship and the lesser ones, and the larger Nausicaan ship suddenly warps out. Turns away, warps out. Now, you do get a quick heading reading, so if you choose to follow them at a later point, you can. But, for the meantime, you are now one ship less that you have to deal with. And it also loses their do better trait, since they have lost the commanding officer. So, these ships... I mean, let's see how what you guys do next. So who of you guys wants to go now? The only places left are Bravo dealing with whatever he's dealing with on the primary computer core. There's still primary science labs. But at this point...
Yeah.
You want to do that? Okay.
Yeah.
Doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo.
On the Bertram protocol.
Science!
Bertram Protocol.
Now, does the captain want to accompany Ori down to the primary science labs?
Does he even need to go down there?
Oh, that's a good question.
This can be done remotely, I'm sure.
In
I'm happy
fact...
to head back. I'm happy to head back to the bridge.
Okay. Okay, cool. In that case, I am going to say that security teams report back. As the captain and... is Ori reporting back to the bridge as well?
Yeah, if he can do it remotely, sure.
Cool. When the captain gets back on the bridge then, get notice that according to the folks in the primary science labs, a bunch of Nausicaans just tried breaking in, and they managed to get into the science lab area where Unit Hello's core is kept. At which point,
Oh, hell no.
So the witnesses say, Unit Hello activated the lighting system, which started flickering and pulsing, and then everybody lost consciousness.
Good for him.
When the security team then subsequently arrived on Deck 6 in the primary science labs to find what was going on, they found everybody unconscious. Apparently,
that's kind of disconcerting.
Unit Hello had managed to make the lighting in the room flicker to the exact way that would render humanoid brains, well, unconscious.
Induced epilepsy.
Much. So that's actually everywhere except primary computers dealt with. So what we can do is we can essentially have everybody report back to their bridge stations.
Except Bravo.
Except Bravo, who's currently still dealing with whatever's going on on the primary computer deck. But the good news is you've still got your shields up, so them being able to beam their guy who is on the run out of there is still none. So we can deal with that afterwards. For the time being, let's have you guys decide what you want to do with these 2 remaining ships. Do you want to just go for another attack? I mean, because Andrews is back on the command dais, you could use your ability to get somebody to essentially take their action now. If I can find that. Direct. Yes, you can spend a momentum, select one ally on the bridge who immediately attempts a single major action. So you can essentially get Claude to shoot.
Sounds like a plan to me. If everyone's happy with that.
Yep.
Yep.
Cool. So spending one momentum, you can get Claude to open fire. Mike, if you will, and since Webby is Andrew's telling what to do, let's have Gareth. Can you be the Navis?
Navis. Okay.
Same rolls.
Same rolls, please. Play those hits.
Come on, Lord.
We believe in the Claude.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, that's exactly what you need. So anything the ship generates is extra.
2.
Right.
Navis.
Okay.
Navis
So
really didn't like those neutrino blasts.
no. So what we can do essentially what we did last turn, which was save 1, spend 1 to hit both ships, and use the 2 momentum you get from a successful use of the phaser arrays to up the damage. Sound good?
Sound good?
Yep.
Phasors. Back up to 9 damage. Not ignoring. They still take the resistance. So let me summarize. Kaboom. With a wide-angle shot, both remaining Nausicaan ships are disabled. So Andrews just walks onto the bridge. People start taking their bridge positions. Andrews just says, Mr. Claude, you see those Nausicaan ships? Yes, Captain. I don't want to. Yes, Captain. Fire!
I definitely gave Claude the wrong instructions before then.
So, I am going to conclude that monumental battle there and say that eventually the Nausicaan on the run was caught and rounded up. So they are all neatly stacked in the brig.
Stacked side by side.
Indeed, and they're tall fellows, so it's going to be very cramped for them.
Well, they should have thought of that before doing stuff.
So, Doop 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 doop. This leaves the Navis able to execute the rescue operation that it was originally intending to enact, and without Nausicans to bother you anymore, the Navis is able to do pretty much what it wanted to do before, which was execute that nice slingshot maneuver, snag the stricken ship with a tractor beam, and pull it to safety. You had gravitic compensation and sensor compensation going for you. So you had all those advantages, and I will say that you managed to pull that off as only the Navis crew can, with aplomb and success. So the stricken ship is able to be pulled safely away from the gravity of the black hole. This allows you to then, once you have them to a safe distance, able to use transporters and shuttles and such to get over to the ship. What you find are a lot of very scared people. The universal translator does work, thankfully. These people do have a easily translatable language. The people you find call themselves the Tonduans, and they are somewhat tall, stringy bipeds, but that's pretty much where the similarity to humans and humanoids ends. They have essentially skin that is bleach white, but they have a number of almost like floating fronds that erupt out of the back of their head, from the tops of their shoulders, the points of their elbows. It almost gives them a floating ethereal quality. They have jet black eyes, and their cranium is elongated, but where their brain is housed, the bone crest that follows their elongated skull all the way back turns into a mottled blue colour. It's all terribly fascinating. They have no items of clothing, but they do have pieces of technology that they do wear, and the technology you find is what you would expect from a starfaring race, but the ship that they have is one that would suggest that they have only been a starfaring race for the last 100 or so years of their comparatively. But their ship, when you do examine it, does show signs of disruptor damage. So it seems, and the disruptor attack patterns do match that of the Nausicans, so it seems that the Nausicans attacked this ship, blew out their shields, took out their engines, and, well, left them to get sucked into the black hole. But you do make contact with the leader of the Tonduans, who introduces themselves. They go by the name of Essak, and they are extremely happy that someone answered their distress call, and so are more than happy to fill you in on the situation in the situation room. So, let's go there. Do you want anybody who is not in this room, as it starts to load slowly, to be in this room having this debriefing from Essak?
I don't see Admiral Monoko.
Oh God, we're not bringing.
He's busy.
Oh, man.
He is busy. Poor Lieutenant Commander Bravo, Chief of Security, needs some liquid, needs some alcoholic refreshment to.
Just becoming a cocktail maker for the injured and the captain.
Oof. Because of time, I am going to need to pile through this good old speed. So, what I'll gonna have to give you a debrief, essentially, on what Essak of the Tonduans tells you. So, the tale is pretty grim. According to Essak, the Nausicans appeared in Tonduan space about 5 standard days ago. Oh, I've just realised someone's there that shouldn't be. Aww. Bye, Caval.
Oh. I thought it was going to be the corpse of Kev then for a second.
Kev, get in here.
Keeping you in
Oh,
the
wait,
corner
no.
to remind us.
You are wrong.
I can't think of, because your helmsman really should be piloting the ship, and he's kind of a junior officer, but hey. I think
All right.
everything else is good. Alright, Chief of Science, you know.
Maybe.
No, definitely.
Latude.
It says there.
Latude, get in here.
Actually, Latude might be a good one to have in here. We have a large ship overcrowded with people. Our transporter chief does understand the capacity of how many we can shift at a time.
Okay, fair enough.
It might be legit. On top of that, it winds up Latude.
Okay. So, according to Essak of the Tonduans, the Nausicans appeared in their space about 5 standard days ago, at which point they arrived with all the ships that were you guys just encountered. They started doing attack raids on the Tonduans' homeworld, and the Tonduans themselves are pacifists. So they had no real defense measures that, at least what defense measures were there, were quickly overcome by the Nausicans. The Nausicans then started raiding their technology. And one of the primary pieces of tech that they raided was their phased tachyon emitter, which they were using to study the stars. But after they had finished raiding the planet for whatever they thought was worth raiding, the Nausicans then took their ships back into orbit, whereupon they turned the phased tachyon device that they had stolen and used it on the system's star to turn it into a black hole. This, of course, had catastrophic results on the Tonduans' home planet, which meant that they had to resort to evacuating everybody of their people onto a single ship. And that ship managed to get into to start to escape. But as soon as it started to escape, the Nausicans attacked it, disabled it, dragged it towards the orbit of the black hole, and just let them slowly and inexorably drift. And that, thankfully, was when you guys arrived, as the Nausicans just apparently sat there content to watch the Tonduans slowly drift towards their doom. The Tonduans can't think of any reason specifically the Nausicans targeted them. They are mostly artists and scientists, but they do occasionally do trade with their galactic neighbours. And that's about all the star presence that they have, so they're not really that big of a presence in the local systems. Meanwhile, your tactical officer will let you know that the Nausicans' course takes them away from the usual space lanes that the Nausicans tend to operate out of, and they're certainly not heading back towards Nausicaa. Instead, Mr. Claught has spoken with your navigation officer and those in stellar cartography, and it seems that the Nausicans are setting a course that intersects with a system called the Darien system. And Ori and Edwards both will be able to tell you that the Darien system is currently a pre-warp civilization. So, now what would you like to do?
The previous targets.
They might be using
Shall we head? Shall we head there? Shall we beat them there?
I was saying
Well.
they might be if they're pre-warp, they might just be using it as a kind of place to hang, so they know that.
Yeah.
we'll
Shall we
naturally
beat
avoid
them
it.
there?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
We do need to make sure
Could
they're not interfering in pre-warp civilizations if we can.
Mm-hmm.
Right, before we do, Captain, let's just check something out. So, talking to their leader, I just want to check your vessel. How are you doing for supplies? How long can you survive, and do you have anywhere you can go?
We were going to just visit our stellar neighbors in the system nearby. As far as supplies, we stocked our ship with as much as we could manage to get on at short notice. We currently have enough supplies to last us about a week. Although at sublight speeds, it'll probably take longer to get there.
Okay, so we will issue a priority 1 distress call to Starfleet Command to send aid to these individuals because they have been completely displaced from their home, and we've got to chase the Nausicans because we're the only ship that can beat them to that situation, to that location.
Right,
Yep.
gotcha.
We can restock them with foodstuffs they can eat
Mhm.
to get last them for another couple of weeks from replicators and supplies on board.
Okie dokie.
So that will mean that they're not going to starve while we go off to try and kick
Yep.
some ass in the right direction.
Okay, cool. That is no problem.
Just trying to think, is there anything else we have to do to sort these guys out before we leave? What also probably a good idea is, can we give them a map of the local stellar area?
I think I don't think that'd be an issue.
So it's enough that they know what the neighbours are around that they can get to, and they're not going to hit anything en route because it doesn't look like they could cope.
Yeah, their ship is definitely in a bad way, so yes, that's probably good thinking there by everybody.
On that note, if their ship's in a bad way and Starfleet's going to be coming to help, can we leave a small engineering team with them just to try and
Start
where they
fixing things
can?
up as they go? Yeah, that's probably a good idea as well.
Send them in a shuttle with a
Give them the
replicator on it.
Samson. Yeah,
Give them the sense.
and the Samson and the Carpathia.
That'll
then
be enough to escort them to the next system, and both of those ships are warp capable and can catch up.
Yeah, okay. I like the sound of that. Everyone good with that?
Yep.
Yep.
Excellent.
And that frees us to go and do whatever we wanted to do with no guilt.
Mm-hmm. Well then, I guess it's time for the captain to make the call.
Black alert.
Black alert it is. Okay, which means that the Navis finds itself reappearing in the Darien system. The third planet appears to be the habitable one. Now, due to your having to stay behind a little bit to make sure that the name's already gone from my head. Tonduans. Leaving enough behind for the Tonduans to make sure that they're okay did delay you by a bit because there were so many people to check over, but at the same time you do have the advantage of the Bifrost drive. So yes, you are able to move great distances in a very, very short space of time. So you do reappear. The Navis still with its shaken condition and with less than 50% of its shields turns up just as the Nausicans themselves are pulling in, because the Darien system wasn't that far away. But nevertheless, the Navis, closely followed by the Nausicans, arrives in the Darien system. What you find is a planet with a lot of satellites in orbit, which suggest that they are at a technologically capable phase of their civilization, but there's no evidence of shipyards in orbit, anything like that. The closest would be this equivalent of a space bridge, I suppose you could call it, something that reaches from all the way down on the ground to just out of Darien 3's orbit. And that appears to be where the Nausicans are heading for. Your communications officer then tells you that they are receiving evidence, or they are detecting evidence of a transmission going from the Nausicans to somewhere on the planet. Your communications officer will tell you that there are not exactly basic, but radio waves are being transmitted from somewhere on Darien 3's surface. Sophisticated enough to suggest, again, a certain degree of technological specialization, but not so far as warp capable yet. But there is an exchange of signals going on between the Nausicans and whoever's on the other end of this radio signal. So, what would you like to do?
I have a feeling that it's the Tarn.
Interesting.
You know, just that feeling of stealing technology, trying to build an empire.
Could be.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think? What would you like to do? Your response, your
We have a cloaking device.
I was thinking that we probably wanted to keep.
You unplugged it because of.
Oh yeah. That's a
because
really
of
good point.
tachyons.
They still got the bloody thing that could actually make it haywire.
Yeah. They haven't used that yet, though. They seem more occupied with this communication exchange, and the Nausicans are still drawing steadily in. Looks like they're looking to dock.
Anyway, we could eavesdrop.
If you want to try that.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Let me...
Now, Ori was petitioning to use the data that you'd collected to see if you can listen in to what the Nausicans were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So we may as well do that now, since that was what you were aiming for. Edwards can definitely assist because of Edwards' communications-based.
I was actually going to say Hessian might be the better
Hessian
one to lose.
could with encryption, decryption. But the big old but here is... I said big old but. There's one support character left to act that you can activate. That can be Lieutenant Cashin Communications, if you want. But then that's it. You can't activate anymore. So,
I'm fine with activating Keshen.
everyone else?
Yep.
Alright
Yep.
then, Keshen shall be activated. And thus, you can use your communications officer encryption decryption focus to assist Ori with this. So, Alex, since Keshen's occupying your Edwards' previous niche, let's have him be Keshen.
Was going to assist. I thought Edwards was going to assist, but okay, I can do that.
Edwards has probably got higher than Keshen. The control and science. So control 10, science 4 against Edwards is control 11, science 5. So yeah.
So have him assist and Edwards lead then.
Sure.
Science, foci of communications.
Can I also have, because Mike, can I get you to be the Navis, please? If you know where to find the Navis. Or do you want me to bring the Navis on ships on screen so you can click it?
Oh, for love of toast!
I mean, it's under supporting characters, right? Yep.
Second
gets
edition
thrown
and ships.
Yeah.
So you got USS Navis and crew, second edition ships, and there's the Navis, and we want communications, and we're breaking into this here. So communications and security from the Navis.
Anyone got a thing to throw at it?
All right, I see a complication there. Yes.
Okay. Is there a focus?
For the ship, yes. There's always a focus for the ship, unless it's in combat.
How many dice? 2 or 1?
One dice for the ship, please, because the ship always assists. Cool. 1 success, so that's 1 from you, 1 from it. So, who was Keshen?
No one so far. And Cat
Okay.
is throwing Legion of Honor in.
Can we have... Is Sean about?
So
You just
should be
muted.
right back.
That's it.
Oh, he's back. Cool.
Can I get you to be Tufty, please, Sean?
Alrighty.
Thank you. Tufty is using control and science with a focus on encryption decryption. Itchy nose. There's going to be 1 dice. 19. Okay, so we got 2 successes. That's just about enough. The complication was killed with Legion of Honor, so that's groovy. Alright. Pardon you. Lieutenant Keshen manages to successfully, on Ori's using the data that Ori and everyone else had collected, but on Ori's recommendation uses the data encryption methods that the Nausicaan's tricorders use to break into the conversation going on between the Nausicans and whoever's on Darien 3. What you discover is that the Nausicaan captain is communicating with, it seems, a single individual. Universal Translator suggests that this is some kind of transaction. The Nausicans are here to sell what they've found to whoever's on Darien. And the voice on Darien 3 sounds female and identifies as a Dr. Patara. The Nausicaan captain identifies as Captain Klurem. And Dr. Patara is inviting Captain Klurem to transport down to her lab in order to show her the inventory of items that he has for her. It includes geolocational coordinates for her lab. So, What would you
Let's
like to
send
do?
a landing team in the area.
A welcome party.
Yeah, welcome party. We're like, hello. We'll be seizing that.
All right,
And
so
the lab.
who's going on this little sojourn?
Should we send the entire senior bridge crew?
I say!
Team building exercise.
Are we going to basically send in our combat people to beat up, knock unconscious, beam out, and extract?
Spec Ops.
Yeah.
Beam in, unconscious, beam out. You never knew. Well, that's a good question. Are you going to do this loud and proud or quiet and sneaky?
We want to be sneaky.
I
we don't want to alert locals.
personally... Sorry, you first, Alex.
I think we probably want to be quiet because you don't want to alert locals, still, because this is still technologically like below us to be kind of directive. We got to be careful on what we do, how we do this.
The problem with that is that the Nausicans aren't being careful at all. They are docking with whatever docking mechanism the Darians have, as it's fairly low tech by your standards, but the Nausicans aren't disguising themselves, so the Darians, even as a pre-warp society, are now easily able with their satellite system, because the Nausicans aren't avoiding the satellite system or setting up any kind of interference whatsoever.
So we're making the presumption that the Darien is, well, whoever government or whoever is knows about them, rather than it potentially being a faction. You don't know anything about the society.
No, quite.
So it could just be a faction that's done this rather than all of them. That's why I was just trying to keep an open mind on it.
So, once again, quiet or loud? How do you want to try to do this?
If we go quiet, we have the option of going loud if we want to when we're down there. If we go loud, we don't have the option of being quiet. So I think we should probably go in quiet if we can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I'm proposing caution. I must be ill.
All right. Well, the Nausicans at the very least are going to have the Navis on sensors, unless you are. Well, you haven't really opted for the quiet treatment there, but if you're doing this quiet, then do you want to try beaming into this lab in a section that doesn't have people in and go from there, or do you want to beam straight in and try and snatch people? What's the thinking here? Do you want to beam them up from the surface?
Abduction might be slightly easier.
What do people think?
I think just beam in. The Nausicans know that we're here anyway. They're not particularly bothered.
Alright. What's the consensus, folks? The captain says just beam in and say hi.
I think we should arrest them.
Well.
Okay, beam in, say hi, and arrest them. Sounds like a cunning plan.
I don't think we should say hi.
I think
They don't
we should
deserve
give Bertram
friendliness.
the handcuffs, so.
Alrighty, and we end up here. Okay, so when you beam in,
it's dark.
It's dark. Give me a second to get rid of it. It shouldn't be dark.
I just see black, but I can see the tokens and
I've
the doors.
turned off. I've turned off the
I
need for
don't
token
see
vision. So, is anybody else able? Is anybody else having trouble seeing?
Nope.
Nope.
It might just be me then. So
It just hasn't loaded the map in. Okay.
Yeah, I'll refresh.
Cool. You beam in, and you find a pair of Nausicans, one of which is much bigger than the others and is wearing a slightly fancier coat. Pizza delivery. Somebody order Domino's?
On purpose?
Well, quite. Which obviously appears to be the Nausicaan captain. The woman, the humanoid woman that they are meeting with, is, as the token icon suggests, a humanoid wrapped in these very voluminous robes. She appears to be bald and white-skinned, and is in mid-conversation with the Nausicans when you beam in.
Ah,
So, how would you like to... Well, what do you say when you drop in?
hey, man.
Wow, we're using
Johnny
that
Bravo.
tack already, are we? Okay.
Johnny Bravo of space.
Johnny Bravo wasn't successful.
Sexy lady. I notice you're doing a bit of pillaging and stealing there. Johnny's not happy. I sound more like Elvis than Johnny Bravo, but that's what they were going for anyway, so...
That's actually not the worst one I've heard, to be honest, impression of Johnny Bravo.
That was good.
I was just going to go straight for hi, we noticed you guys weren't being arrested. Thought we'd help you with that.
I'd probably shoot the Nausicans and arrest the lady. To be honest, we already know that they're not going to come quietly.
You want to just sound gun the
No,
Nausicans right here and right now?
No.
That's my vote.
No.
I'm not actually doing it.
Okay.
Hello.
What?
Hi! Wee!
Now the brutes are out of the way, you're under arrest.
What do other people think?
I'm gonna pheromone bomb that mama, and she's gonna be hot.
Oh, good lord. Well, actually...
Lieutenant Lutude wants to beam up to the Navis.
Lieutenant Lutude, how many to beam up to the Navis?
1. Sending Mr. Pheromone back.
So, I could take it as that the moment
No.
even a whiff of pheromones goes off, that Andrews just gives Ori the look.
Which one?
Stand down, both of you.
I think that would be Andrew's response, actually, is stand down to the Nausicans if they go for a weapon shoot.
This business, human. You not invited.
At which point
But
the...
you extended my invitation when you blew up a star and put an entire species at risk of extinction.
That business.
Edwards is just giving the look to, like, they're just cocking an eyebrow to the captain. You're like, just
He's
say
got
the
his
word.
finger on the trigger, doesn't he? He's waiting for the excuse.
He hates raiders.
If Tonduan's not alive, Tonduan tech is high price.
At which point this lady... Sorry, go on, Davis.
We disagree. Tonduan tech is really common. We're sharing it quite freely amongst all the universities, museums, and also in a lot of trade places because they're still kicking and living.
He is going to answer that with... Oh, heck.
Silence your putrid whining, Trill. No one wants to hear a slug talk. This is business.
Ooh. I want to punch him. I want to punch him now.
I gotta.
Excuse me, says the lady with the white skin, but I don't believe you were invited to this particular business meeting. The captain here offered to sell me technology that will help me lift my entire people. technologically, and that is what we are doing.
Okay, so that implies that the rest of the species at large may not know of this.
I don't want to play the diplomat.
Do we want to respond because are you admitting to being party to
Yeah.
attempted genocide?
Yeah, yes, yeah. I'm happy with Bertram taking the lead on that point.
Okay, fine. But you'll say, did you just admit to being party to attempted genocide?
What
along
I'm
with
party
other
to is a business transaction between myself and this gentleman here, who is helping me elevate the technological expansion of my people. Where it comes from is no interest to me.
That's a yes. Awesome. You're all under arrest.
I don't believe you have any jurisdiction here. This is sovereign Darian territory, and if I simply disappear, well, I'm sure my Nausicaan friends here will be more than happy to spread the word that whoever you are, what did he call you? Humans and slugs? Just go about abducting people. Indeed, it'll be an interesting first impression. She's one of you or a couple of you notice is that she's actually leant backwards and has pressed a button on the console. And for those of you with a better view of the readouts, it looks like she's recording this conversation, if not transmitting it. So, unless you're here to make a better offer... Sorry, Davis, I talked over you there.
We are here because we were originally worried that you would be the next target of these people. They are quite well known for not being very trustworthy and possibly getting what they want out of you and then stealing all of your stuff to sell to the next species along.
This filthy slug lies. They are competitors, too slow and too weak to do their own bargaining. Instead, they come here to plead and beg and lie.
Would it be possible just quickly tapping the comm badge, be able to send a little Morse code back up to the top to try and get them to jam whatever transmission she's sending out?
I like.
At the same time, I wouldn't like to jam the signal because the Federation is obligated to stop what's going on at this moment in time. So we're in a very moral grey area, and we have to show that we aren't the aggressors.
Okay, so is Edward still trying to do this on the sly, or...?
Below that order.
I've not said... I don't know you're going to do that.
Oh, yeah, good point. But no, that it is logical. I've got to think more like my character and not like me.
But at the same time, Edwards has been around everybody long enough now to be able to read the room, so... You know, I still consider it almost a case of everybody's out-of-character related stuff can still be the equivalent of the voices in your head. You know, the quote, better angels of your nature, as it were. Or logic. So, unless you people have a better offer to make me, I'm going to continue my transaction here with Captain Clurim.
Webby's really not in the brain set for doing diplomacy in this.
Well, if you don't want to do that, then you can always try social combat.
Yeah.
Moss.
I'm not going to offer Moss, but I was just saying.
To be honest, you may have. Sorry.
You're taking this technology to raise your people up to the stars, correct?
Correct.
And you're worried about first impressions, such as the galactic community's reaction to a new player on the cosmic board.
Oh no!
Literally stepping on the backs of a near genocide species and taking the technology, stolen technology, from people who have been slaughtered by the Nausicans.
I couldn't care less about the Darien reputation, we're going to carve our own path through the stars. Thank you very much. We'll let our actions speak for ourselves. Our first step is in securing Darien territory and then expanding from there, more than likely.
Does your government know you're doing this?
Not yet.
Excellent. Let's contact your government, shall we?
By all
See
means.
what they think. Let's
All right.
start a diplomatic incident.
I was going to say, is that breaching the Prime Directive?
It's not breaching the Prime Directive.
She is just, yeah, first of all, they were decontaminated. Secondly, she just admitted that she is intending to carve an empire. And she has no feelings or morals about stepping and destroying other people. She is literally already admitted she is hostile.
Okay. So,
this is also a level 1 priority to the diplomatic corps to say, I am not doing this on my own.
Yeah.
Get here now.
All right, so transmission has been sent to the Federation, but in the interim, yes, contact is made with the Darien Assembly. Dr. Patara is more than happy to put this before the Darien Assembly. Now, contrary to what this map may show you, this place is actually supposed to be full, so it's almost like the Roman Senate, if you will, full of various diplomats and senators and the like. But the ones that properly concern us, of course, are Dr. Patara herself, the Nausicans, and the leader of the Darien Senate, who identifies himself as Ozas.
Well, I suppose we don't actually know if these people are warlike or anything, if she's an anomaly.
We will hear the case put forward by Dr. Patara.
At which point she goes on a very, very practiced diatribe. She goes to say that the Darien people are ready, as far as she is concerned, to start reaching out into the stars. And in order to do that, she started sending transmissions into space in order to see if there was anyone there who would be willing to trade with the Darien people for the technology to do this, to lift the Darien people up so that they could use technology to solve all of their current problems and expand not just into their own solar system, but beyond. This she does not do for herself or for any kind of fame, even though whilst she's saying this, she's obviously doing this to make her name. But she has said she's doing this for the Darien people. Then she goes on a diatribe about how these people here, the Nausicans, were more than willing to sell the technology needed to lift the Darien people up into the stars, whereas these people, who she then points at you, were content to just appear and deny the Darien people this opportunity to lift themselves up and make themselves better. So, that's essentially her argument. The empaths, just before, hold on to that, Webby, don't forget it.
Yeah.
The empaths amongst you, reading her emotions, she is absolutely loving this. She now has an audience. She feels very, very self-gratified. She's more than a little smug that you've given her the opportunity she needed to put her case forward. Could Ori somehow hack into the data being presented to make it worthless? Well, you could. I mean, the cat's kind of out of the bag that the transaction was going ahead.
Well, she doesn't have the data completely yet, does she? Or
Potentially not, so do you want to just arbitrarily, make a decision?
a lot of that's our data, isn't it?
Some of
It
it,
would cause a diplomatic issue if we do that.
yes. And, Patara is very much... Sorry, go on, Mike. I talked over you there, Mike. Carry on. What was you saying?
What if we put a security lock on that data and it can't be accessed without further negotiation?
It makes us the aggressor.
Yeah, it makes it go for
her. Okay.
Okay.
Can I use my scar of never again, causing it, trying to prevent a diplomatic incident,
Ooh.
to gain a determination?
Aha. Now, what is it you would? What previous episode are we drawing from?
It was the death of Kef. Is where I got the scar from. But
And you
there
don't wanna
is
see.
the previous encounters with sort of like when we had the Dominion and the planet, etc.
Aha. So that means you've referenced.
And it's also it's also going back to a diplomatic consequence. That's where that came from for that foci.
Cool. In that case, I very much want you to make a note of that in your personal log, that your scar is making you act in a certain way, and it is referencing back to a specific episodes, and that will more than likely give you a milestone.
As
a result.
Character notes, isn't it? Character
Yes,
notes.
please, your logs.
Log.
So this is episode... Wow. Episode 50? We've hit our 50th episode, folks.
Yay!
Is it? I thought we were on 49.
I might be on 49.
Because I've got 48 was the burning.
Oh, right, pardon me.
Yeah.
So it is... Yeah. It is 49.
Which
Pardon me,
one-
next
which
one
one
is
was this
50.
called? Yeah,
I
this one,
mislabeled.
what's this called? And star date?
The star date for... This one's called The Void. Star date is 51073.
No points?
Well, 0.8 if you really want to get technical, but
Yeah.
that's the point is usually the time of day rather than. And that was when you initially got the distress call, so the time has moved on since. Probably the next point, but nevertheless, yes, you wanted to make a point. If Webby is too tired to think of anything specific, then you can always put this down to rolls.
It would be basically going on to say, about the history of the Federation and the species that have forced enlightenment upon them, and that the galactic community would not. If you show aggression, the galactic community will respond with aggression.
Yeah.
And the fact that you are willing to commit genocide to gain this suggests that this is not a moral choice for your people, and that enlightenment takes time.
Yeah, so the moment you mention genocide, that's when a big ripple goes through the crowd. And seeing that ripple, the empaths among you feel a momentary twig of not exactly panic, but the empaths, Ori and Nova, definitely get the sense that Patara's a narcissist. And she's feeling... she's more alarmed at the potential of the ripple of people no longer being on her side, liking her. So that's distressing her more than the subject of genocide itself. At which point she jumps in with, this is a price paid by other people, and the Darian people as a whole will benefit from it.
We are willing to share the entire history of the Federation with your people to show that aggression is not the way forwards.
We can also share what happens when people try to advance off the backs of others rather than advancing when they are ready.
Hum.
Though it seems like a good idea in the short term to advance early, you will find it will cause you large amounts of unrest and problems in your society, and we have a large bank of examples and cases where this has been a problem.
Okay. I am going to now make a roll for Dr. Patara. She is using one of her values. Your argument is not as solid as you think, and you will know my name and advancement at any cost. Plus, success for me is success for everyone. She is using her persuasion and debate foci. I have spent... actually, I haven't spent. I was thinking of the wrong thing. She's spending determination on this. So this is what you are up against. 3. So anybody who wants to make a social conflict roll, and people can help.
Anyone got a good plan for this before I pull Liral Viber's diplomatic attaché history back out?
Well, yeah.
Let's say I'm spending my determination from a challenge in the scar. So
Cool.
if Vibers wants to contribute, Nova and Ori can potentially contribute as well. Is that going to be 5 die or 6? Because obviously Nova and Ori the
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Does not a resident Pokemon master have Palm Leaf of
Peace. Yeah, good point.
Peace?
Very, very good point.
What's the role?
It's going to be probably presence and command, because you're basically having a social off.
I'll roll an assist for you then. With focus, because...
Sorry guys, I'm going to have to be one... Right, I'll roll focus and determination on mine, but the youngest is having a meltdown upstairs.
Okay. No problem, sir. Which is why I wanted to reduce this down to just rolls by the end, but I'm also
that one is also doubled, I think, because of my Starcross.
Cool.
But I'll be back in a sec.
You doubled Starcross doubles the focus range, so rolling a 1 still equals 2 successes. But the focus range of Andrews for command is 5, so that's actually 4 successes rather than just 3. Vibers is getting involved in it, as is Nova, so if Nova can give me a persuasion task, which is essentially insight and command, and the difficulty of this will be reduced down because you have all made such excellent points and appeals. So that's 1, 5, 6 successes. Good lordy lorks. Against her 3. So you got 3 over and above. Nice. Very, very good. So, yes. You've made a couple of inferences and promises that suggest that you guys are going to share at least Federation knowledge, which isn't a bad halfway house between, tech and scientific knowledge at the very least. The fact that the Senate... Go on, sorry?
We're effectively pulling a what the Vulcans did to us type thing. With what we're doing here, we're pointing out this is... We can't advance you, but we're not against the Federation sitting here as a guidepost the way the Vulcans did for humans.
And it also leans into what somebody said it. I think it was Webby said that Andrews would be having a call sent out to the Federation diplomatic corps to get here as fast as they can. But at the very least, the Navis command crew's impassioned words did have the effect they needed, and your convincing arguments definitely helped with swaying people to at least give the Federation time in order that the diplomatic corps come here, and then the promise of showing them evidence of what happens if technology is accelerated too quickly. The moment it even looks like it's going against her, Dr. Patara's sense of panic starts to rise, and the two empaths detect that her narcissistic sense of self-worth cannot handle the idea that she's losing this argument. And so, whilst all the rest of the Senate is getting together and is very much listening to what you've been saying and are taking it all on board, and it looks like they're very much in favour of what you guys have proposed, the Nausicans and Dr. Patara quietly disappear off. It's not long afterwards that when you guys are still here liaising with the Darien Assembly and the Federation Diplomatic Corps do eventually get here, that you've established a nice back and forth rapport with the Darians, and after giving them a description of what state you found the Tonduans in, most of the Darians, thankfully, don't seem to, at the very least, want to be associated with something as bad as genocide. Unfortunately, there are still lots of very nationalistic, semi-xenophobic stances amongst the Darien Senate, which isn't that difficult to believe because they're not yet technologically and therefore psychologically advanced enough yet to fully get it, but they might one day with some patience. But it's certainly nothing that Dr. Patara was willing to wait for, and so when the diplomatic attaches do turn up, you get word that Dr. Patara disappeared off with the Nausicans. So who knows what will happen there, whether we'll ever see her again. But she certainly didn't like that you seemed to foil her wonderful plan. Nevertheless, you have managed to, for now, at least stop the Darians from being elevated far too quickly. And so what happens to the Darians now very much depends on them and how well the Federation Diplomatic Corps does. The Tonduans, after they are successfully set down, do apply for membership of the Federation. Even though technically they're only one ship's worth of people now, they still want to join the Federation nonetheless and gain its protection. So there's that at least. Nevertheless, that's as far as this episode will take us, the aftermaths of which, well, depend on what my players think that they want their characters to do, or at least start to action. And they can either tell that to me now, or we can do it over Discord or whatever later on. Either way, go on, sorry.
It's a secret.
Ah.
Is it sleep your way through the population?
Yes.
That's not secret. I think everybody guessed that. He was
So
going
you've
to
got
kirk
try it
himself.
all at once.
But actual sleep, not like sex sleep, actual sleep.
Oh, right. That's a lot more tame than
No
what
one will
I had
ever see
going
it
on in my
coming.
head. Nevertheless, yes, so, uncertain times ahead for the Darians, and we can only hope that the Tonduans see some peace after all of this. What will happen with Dr. Patara and the Nausicans, who knows? But until then, we're just going to have to wait to see what the next episode brings towards the crew of the Navis. Until then, we, well, wish you all the very best of fortune in the current world as it sits, especially with, now we've got a newly inaugurated American president. Things are going to be very interesting. We'll just have to see how this year turns out, or the next 4 indeed. Nevertheless, times are getting crazy wild, so take care of yourselves and look after each other. In this case, do like the Navis did. Be reasonable. And very considered. Maybe not quite as horny as us all right there.
Have a
until then,
special section in your home where you grow moss and plants for study.
maybe.
Yes.
Why not? Take up botanicals.
Green spaces are clean spaces. Anyways, thank you very much to everybody who watched the stream. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, then thank you very much. If you're watching this later on YouTube and you enjoyed it, then consider giving us a like, because it helps not only us, but all of those who do actual plays of role-playing games and anything to do with Star Trek, as we try and serve our Lord and Master, the algorithm, as best we can. All say it with me. All hail the algorithm.
Hail the algorithm.
In the meantime, I want everybody to live long and prosper, take care of yourselves, and we will see you in the next episode, which should be in 2 weeks, as long as my folks here are all good to meet again on the 4th of February.
Should be.
Probably.
Probably.
Should
So
be.
let us know, Mike, if that changes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
But in the meantime, thank you everyone who tuned in, and we will see you next time. But in the meantime, hailing frequencies are now closed.